Hello my dear students, chemistry has 3 branches, total 4 books for reference. Question paper is divided into 4 parts. From theory paper is 70 marks, 30 marks allotted for practical. Physical chemistry is a sub-branch of chemistry, the blueprint for your syllabus if you are aiming to get 70 on 70. Hello my dear students, I am Priyanka Rajaram from Vidhyaashram PU College, Temple of Excellence. Here I am to help you all to unravel the mystery hidden in chemistry. Today I shall introduce you all to the syllabus of first PU Chemistry for the year 2021. Also, I shall explain about the question paper pattern and also give you a fair idea about your practicals for this year. So, what is chemistry? As Roald Hoffmann said, chemistry is a science of molecules and their transformations. It is the science not so much of 100 elements but of infinite variety of molecules that may be built from them. As we know, chemistry deals with the study of matter composed of atoms, molecules. We are going to study about their structure, their behavior, their properties, and how do they interact with one another. So, chemistry is also called as general science because we have physics along with chemistry. We have math which is coming when we are going to study chemistry. We also have some concepts from biology which we are going to study in chemistry. So, broadly, if we classify, chemistry has 3 branches, that is organic chemistry, physical chemistry and inorganic chemistry. There are several more branches, that is biochemistry, analytical chemistry, etc. But in our syllabus, we have only 3 groups. We call physical chemistry as group 1, inorganic chemistry as group 2 and organic chemistry as group 3. Okay, let's see what each one deals with. So first is physical chemistry. Physical chemistry is a sub-branch of chemistry which deals with study of macroscopic properties like pressure, volume, temperature, etc. Also, we are going to study atomic properties. We are also going to study about the structure of atoms, etc. from this particular unit. Okay. Next we have inorganic chemistry, deals with the study of inorganic compounds. Also, what do you mean by inorganic compounds? We are going to study those compounds which do not contain carbon and hydrogen bond. For example, in our periodic table, there are so many elements. We are going to study about their properties of different elements, how they are classified in the periodic table, that is we have S block elements, we have P block elements, we have D and F block elements. We are going to study the trends in the different properties and also about their chemical properties in inorganic chemistry. Okay. Next is organic chemistry. Organic chemistry is a branch of chemistry that deals with the study of organic compounds. What do you mean by organic compounds? Organic compounds are those which contains carbon and hydrogen bond. For example, we have hydrocarbons like alkane. I have written the structure of methane. Okay, so you study about all the organic compounds in organic chemistry. In organic chemistry, we are going to study about hydrocarbons, different types of organic compounds like haloalkanes, haloarenes, alcohols, carboxylic acids, etc. Okay, we are going to study about the structure, about their properties, that is physical properties as well as the chemical properties. So that's about organic chemistry. Now let's see which are the books for reference. Total we have 4 books for reference. First book is part 1 book which has the following 7 chapters. The next one is part 2 book which contains next 7 chapters. We also have another 2 books for reference. One is laboratory manual and the other one is exemplar, in which you can find multiple choice questions for practicing for your competitive exams. Next, we shall see the question paper pattern. Question paper is divided into 4 parts: part A, part B, part C and part D. In part A, we have first main, part B, we have second main, part C, we have third main, part D, you can see it is separated into 2 mains, the 4th main and the 5th main. Part A has 10 questions. You have to answer all the questions and it carries 1 mark. So total 10 into 1, 10 marks. Okay. Next, part B, you have 8 questions, that is in the second main, out of which you have to answer only 5. Okay. So you have choice here to choose 5 questions, each one carrying 2 marks. So total you have 10 marks. Next main, that is third main, part C, carries 3 marks for every question. Again, you have 8 questions, out of which you are supposed to write only 5. So 5 3s are 15 marks for the part C. Next, part D, 4th main, has questions carrying 5 marks. You have 8 questions, out of which you are supposed to write 5. So 5 into 5, 25 marks. The last main, which contains organic chemistry questions, that is part D, 5th main, has got 3 questions, out of which you are supposed to write 2, each carrying 5 marks. So total you have 10 marks. The maximum marks which you can get from the theory paper is 70 marks. So once again, we have part A, answer all questions, 1 mark each, 10 questions you get. Part B, carrying 2 marks question, you have 8 questions, you have to supposed to write 5. Part C contains only inorganic chemistry questions. There are 8 questions, out of which you are supposed to write 5, carrying 3 marks each. Part D, 4th main, you have only physical chemistry questions. You have 8 questions, you are supposed to write 5, carrying 5 marks each. And part D, 5th main, you have only organic chemistry questions. You have 3 questions, out of which you are supposed to write 2, carrying 5 marks each. So total marks, maximum marks which you can get from theory paper is 70 marks. The other 30 marks is allotted for practicals. So we'll see under each group what is the individual weightage for the chapter. From physical chemistry, group 1, you have total 5 chapters. First chapter is some basic concepts of chemistry. Weightage for this chapter is 8 marks. You can expect 1 mark, 1 question, 1 question carrying 2 marks, and also 1 question carrying 5 marks. Usually it's question number 27. In some basic concepts of chemistry, you are going to study about basics like what is matter, how is it classified. Also, you are going to study about the laws for chemical combinations. Also, you are studying about concentrations of solution, how is it expressed. Also, about empirical formula. Next chapter is structure of atom. You are going to study about different discoveries pertaining to structure of atom. Okay. Also, you have 10 marks weightage for this chapter. Directly you can expect 2 questions carrying 5 marks each, that is question number 28 and 29. Next chapter we have states of matter, which is unit 5 in your syllabus. It carries 8 marks, 1 question carrying 1 mark, 1 question carrying 2 mark, and 1 question carrying 5 mark. In states of matter, you are going to study about the different properties of gaseous state as well as some of the properties of liquid state. About solid state, you will be studying it in your second PUC. Next chapter is thermodynamics, which is unit 6. Here, you are going to study about the heat in the system and how the changes will happen related to heat in the system, as well as you are going to study about work done by the system or on the system. You are also going to study the applications of this in chemistry, which we call it as thermochemistry. Here, the weightage for this chapter is 10 marks. You can expect 2 questions carrying 5 marks, question number 31 and 32. Last chapter from physical chemistry is equilibrium. You are going to study about concepts of acids and bases, etc. The weightage for the chapter is 11 marks, 1 question carrying 1 mark and 2 questions carrying 5 mark. That is question number 34 and 35. That is about physical chemistry. Next we have group 2, inorganic chemistry. Totally we have 6 chapters. First one, unit 3 in your syllabus, classification of elements and periodicity in properties. You are going to study how the periodic table is classified into 4 blocks: S block elements, P block elements, D and F block elements. Also, you are going to study the trends in the properties in the periodic table as well. Here you have total 4 marks weightage, that is 1 question from part C carrying 3 marks and 1 question carrying 1 mark. Next chapter we have chemical bonding and molecular structure. Here you are going to study about 4 different types of bonds: ionic bond, covalent bond, coordinate bond, as well as hydrogen bond. You are going to study also about different types of hybridization in chemical bonding and molecular structure chapter. The weightage for this chapter is 11 marks. You can expect 3 questions in part C, question number 20, 21 and 22, and 1 question from part B carrying 2 marks. Next we have redox reaction. As the name of the chapter goes, you are going to study about redox reaction, those reactions in which reduction and oxidation is happening simultaneously. You will be learning about how to find out the oxidation number and how to balance the redox reaction and different types of redox reactions. Here the weightage for this chapter is 4 marks, 1 question carrying 1 mark and 1 question carrying 3 marks. The next chapter is hydrogen. Hydrogen has a special position. Why a different position for hydrogen? What are its physical and chemical properties we are going to study. Also some of the compounds of hydrogen like water, hydrogen peroxide we are going to study in this chapter. The weightage for this chapter is just 3 marks, that is directly 1 question carrying 3 marks in part C. The next chapter is S block elements. In S block elements, you are going to study about group 1 and group 2, alkali metals and alkaline earth metals. You are going to study about physical and chemical properties of some of the elements in S block. Okay, so you have 6 marks weightage. You can expect 1 1-mark question, 1 2-mark question and 1 3-mark question. The last chapter is some P block elements. Why some P block elements? Because we are going to study only 2 groups in P block elements, that is group 13 and group 14. 15, 16, 17 and 18 you will be studying in your second PUC. So you have just 2 groups to study in first PU. The weightage of this chapter is 7 marks, 2 1-mark question, 1 2-mark question and 1 3-mark question. That is about inorganic chemistry, group 2. Next we have organic chemistry. In organic chemistry we have 3 chapters. The first chapter is unit 12, organic chemistry, some basic principles and techniques. You have total weightage of 11 marks. You have 2 questions carrying 5 marks and 1 question carrying 1 mark. Here in this particular chapter you are going to learn some very basic concepts of organic chemistry which will be really helpful for you all to make organic chemistry easy in your second PUC. That's the basic foundation which you require to learn the entire organic chemistry part, and it is also very important to understand this so that it will be very easy for you all for the competitive exams. Okay, so that is about the first chapter in organic chemistry. Second chapter you are going to learn about hydrocarbons, alkanes, alkenes and alkynes, their physical properties as well as their chemical properties. You have 10 marks weightage. You have 1 question carrying 5 mark, 2 questions carrying 2 mark and 1 question carrying 1 mark. Next chapter is environmental chemistry. You are going to study about air pollution, water pollution, some concepts which you might have already studied in school, like you're going to study what is acid rain, what is smog, then you're going to study about different pollutants, okay, what is green chemistry, etc. in this chapter. But the weightage of the chapter is only 2 marks, that is 1 question carrying 2 marks. You do not have a question carrying 5 marks from this particular unit. We'll see the blueprint for your syllabus. See, you have 5 chapters in physical chemistry. The weightage for physical chemistry is 47 marks. I've already explained to you all about the individual questions and the weightage for every chapter. Next we have group 2 inorganic chemistry. The entire weightage for this chapter is 35. You have 6 chapters from inorganic chemistry. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chapters from inorganic chemistry. Next you have organic chemistry. Weightage is 23 marks. Okay, you have 3 chapters from organic chemistry. Already I have explained to you all about the question paper pattern. If you see, if you include all the questions which is given to you all. Even the choice, if you take your question paper, is for 105 marks. Okay, that is 47 plus 35 and 23. If you take up, it is total 105 marks, but maximum marks which you can get is 70 marks, because you have lot of questions in which you can choose and you can write. Okay, you have to be careful only about part A, because this is a part in which there is no choice. We give 10 questions carrying 1 mark and you're supposed to write all the 10 questions. Okay, so this is the main where you have to concentrate more if you are aiming to get 70 on 70. All the chapters which have 1 mark questions are those chapters which you have to know everything and study every concept which is there. In part B and C, you have choice, that is, you have 8 questions from which you have to write 5, and part C also you have 8 questions from which you have to write 5. So here you have lot of choice to choose and write the correct answer. So that's about your blueprint. You can pause the video and check out the entire blueprint which is given along with the question numbers. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 questions from part A. Then you have 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Same way up to 37 questions which is there in your question paper. From which chapter it is going to come, it is very clearly given in your blueprint. Okay, so that is about your theory syllabus. Next we'll see about chemistry practicals. You all might be really excited to come into the lab and perform the experiments, isn't it? Yes, chemistry practicals are really interesting. It involves lot of color change, also lot of chemical reactions. So we'll see what we have in the syllabus for our exam. Okay, we have 30 marks allotted for practicals. First one question is based on inorganic salt analysis. We'll give you a salt. For example, you have sodium chloride salt, table salt which is kept at home. You all must have seen that. It contains 1 acid radical and 1 basic radical. Or in simple words, if I have to tell, it contains 1 cation and anion. Like this, there are many salts which is there in the lab. We can have calcium carbonate, we can have ammonium bromide, ammonium chloride, aluminum sulfate, magnesium carbonate, magnesium sulfate, etc. So you have to analyze which is the cation present and which is the anion present, or which is the basic radical and which is the acid radical, and tell us which is your inorganic salt. So that is the first experiment for y'all. More about practicals, I shall do a separate session in which I will show y'all different salts, also how to perform the experiment. So the first question is carrying 10 marks. Okay. Next question we have titration or volumetric analysis. Here you are going to handle many types of new apparatus, okay, or glasswares which we call as burette, pipette, conical flask, etc. In titration, we have 2 which can be asked for the exam. 2 questions can come, out of which any one will be given to you all. Okay, it depends on the internal and the external who has come for the exam. So the first question is determination of concentration or strength of NaOH solution, titrating it against oxalic acid. Okay. Next, determination of concentration of given HCl solution. Okay. Titrating it against sodium carbonate. So you have two experiments, both you will do in your lab, but only one of them can be asked for your exam. So again, that carries 10 marks. Next we have Viva questions. Now what is this Viva questions? As a child, you must have answered oral examination, correct? Same way, we call it as Viva here, in which the external or the internal or whoever is there in your lab, your teacher in your lab, will ask you 4 1-mark questions and you're supposed to answer them. Each question will carry 1 mark. You have only 4 experiments to study for Viva exam, that is Bunsen burner experiment, pH experiments, equilibrium experiments and purification techniques. Okay, so that will carry 4 marks. Last but not the least, submission of duly completed and certified record alone will carry 6 marks. That means as you are coming to the lab, we'll give you a record book and a laboratory manual. We'll perform the experiments. As we perform the experiment, we'll observe that and we will write it in our observation book, and then the same thing, if it is right, will be written in the record. The record has to be completed, and in the certificate page of the record, it has to be certified as well. Okay, so that is alone carrying 6 marks. So you have to be very regular for your practicals also. So total marks for the practicals is 30 marks. You must be really excited to come to the lab. I hope you have understood about the number of chapters, about the question paper pattern and also about the practicals. I'll be here to help you all throughout the journey in your PUC. My dear children, stay curious, stay focused and stay tuned for further updates. Thank you.